Math. Math.
Let's practice a few sum to infinity questions. Here are the questions that's going to be in the video. Skip to the ones that you want to do and are uncertain of, then mark them and see if you really understand the question, and make sure you will get full marks when you get this in a test or an exam. Enjoy. Question 1. Calculate the sum of the following infinite series. Okay, so you can see the formula up there. So sum to infinity only works with geometric sequence and series, so I don't even need to test which type of sequence this is. I can just immediately get A, get R, and sub it into the formula. So in this case, A would be equal to minus 64, R would be equal to minus a half, and therefore S infinity would equal minus 64 over 1 minus a half. If I type that in the calculator, it says the answer is minus 128 over 3, or if you want to go decimal, minus 42.67. Okay, so it's really, this is the easiest SN formula, because you just need A and R and just sub it in. Let's look at question B. So they give me sigma now. The steps for sigma are still the same. Get the first three terms, get A, get R, and sub it in. So term 1 in this case would be equal to 6 times 3 to the power minus 2 times 1. That would give me 6 over 9, or 2 over 3. Now I need to get term 2, 6 times 3 to the power minus 2 times 2. If I sub that in the calculator, I get 2 over 27, and that will then help me to get R. So R in this case is just going to be term 2 divided by term 1. My calculator tells me it's 1 over 9. So I can just sub it in the formula and say, therefore, S infinity is equal to 2 over 3 over 1 minus 1 over 9. The answer to that is 3 over 4. Okay, that was your most basic sum to infinities. Just get A, get R, and sub it in. So your marks you would get for subbing in the correct formula and getting the answer. The same on this side, and then getting the answer. Question 2, convert the common fraction using geometric series. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can see something is repeating, but something is not repeating. So 4.1, I'm going to write separately. Then I'm going to write down the pattern that is actually repeating. So 0.023, and then the next one is 0. I just put a lot of zeros underneath all of the previous ones, and then a 2, 3, and then the same with this one. This actually then has 5 zeros and then a 2, 3. So in this case, I can see it just moves 2 places. And if you remember from primary school, if something moves 2 places, you multiplied it by 100 or divided by 100. So A in this case is 0.023, and R is going to be 1 over 100, or you could say 0.01 as your R value. So now I can sub into the S infinity formula. So S infinity would be equal to 0.023 over 1 minus 0.01. Calculator tells me the answer, 23 over 990. So remember, that's not the final answer. I must still add the 4.1. So my final answer would then be 4.1 plus 23 over 990, which would give me 2041 over 495. And if I type that on the calculator, it would give me 4.123232323 till infinity. Let's see where you would get your marks. You would get your marks for writing out the sequence and the fact that they can see it's a sequence. There you will get a mark. A and R, you would get a mark. Getting the sum to infinity correct and then answering the final question would be your 4th mark. Okay, did you even know we could use sum to infinity with questions like that? So please remember this, and from now on, when anyone asks you this question, you can easily answer it. Question 3, will the following series converge? Explain why. Now, very important, as we saw in the previous lesson video, something converges if R lies between minus 1 and 1. So if I can say R is 0, comma something, then it converges. So remember, my formula for R is just term 2 divided by term 1, or term 3 divided by term 2. In this case, it would be much easier to just take term 3 divided by term 2. So root 2 over 1 would then just give me my R value. When I get this R value, I can just type it on the calculator and convert it a little bit. So that's 1.4. Now that's not between minus 1 and 1. I can just say that does not converge. Does not converge because it's not between minus 1 and 1. Question B, I now need to just simplify that pattern a little bit. So I can actually take out a 16 there, and that would give me k plus 2. The second one is correct, so I can just leave that as minus 8 bracket k plus 2. And then the last one I can actually take out a 4. So 4k plus 2. Now I can spot the pattern. So what's happening is the 16, then the minus 8, and then the 4, that changes. The rest doesn't really change. Remember, I'm just interested in r, so I'm going to say r is equal to minus 8k plus 2 over 16k plus 2. The brackets cancel, and then that would simplify to minus a half. That is definitely between minus 1 and 1. So therefore, this answer lies between minus 1 and 1, and therefore will converge. Let's see where you would get your marks. You'll definitely get your marks for finding r, and then for just getting it into decimal parts, and then for writing this and saying it does not converge. On the other side, for r, putting it in between the restrictions and saying it will converge. So that is how I would get my marks with this question. Let's look at the last two. Question 4, for which values of x will this series converge? Now in question 3, they asked, will it converge? And then I didn't have variables. Now they're giving me variables and they're saying, what should I sub into x for this to converge? So very easy question. You are just going to work out what's r. So term 2 to the power 4 over, and then the same thing, same bracket, but to the power 3. So I can cancel 3 of those with 3 of those, and then there's just 1 remaining. So to answer the question, I must just say it will converge if my r value lies between minus 1 and 1. Now, in grade 10, you learned double inequalities or quadratic inequalities. I just want x alone in the middle, so I'm just going to take that minus 2. I'm going to move it to both sides. I'm going to add 2 to all sides. Minus 1 plus 2. 3x is still in the middle. 1 plus 2. So now I'm going to just simplify, so that would be positive 1. So this would be positive 1, 3x, and then 3. I want x alone, so I'm just going to divide by 3. So that's 1 over 3 on that side, and that's 1. And now to answer the question, when will this converge? If x is any value between a third and 1. Let's look at question B. So now they give it to me in sigma form. Remember, I'm just interested to find r. So r is term 2 divided by term 1, and that's what I'm going to get. So term 1 is going to be x, 7 minus 2x to the power 4. I don't need to simplify, I don't need to do anything to it. Term 2, x, this bracket, to the power 5. Now I can see between those two, it's only the exponent that changes. So therefore, my r value would just be this bracket. But let me just write it out for you so you can see. So x, and then 5 of these brackets. Luckily, I don't need to write all 5. But there we go. And this one, x, and then 4 of these brackets. Then everything will cancel out. 4 of those brackets cancel out 4 of those. There is 1 of these brackets left, and that is my r value. So this will converge if r lies between minus 1 and 1. So the only thing I need to do is now get x in the middle. So I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides. Gives me minus 8. Gives me minus 6. Then I divide by minus 2. This would give me a 4. X. This would give me a 3. Now remember, if I divide by a minus, the signs would flip. Now many schools will give you your full marks here, but be nice to your marker. Please rewrite this from smallest to biggest to be sure that you will get your marks every time. So sometimes they mark even stricter, and then you will lose marks if you don't write your answer in the proper way at the end. Let's see where you would get your marks. So I definitely get my marks for finding r, then for putting it into the right formula, and then getting my 2 answers. Now on this side, also for writing out the sigma, then getting r, subbing it into the right formula, and then getting the 2 answers. Okay, that is sum to infinity. I hope you find it as easy as I do. But please let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. And this is luckily a part of the syllabus that does not get more tricky than this.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
GR12 Prac.